And welcome to Law Call on WLOX and WDAM. So happy to have you in on this Saturday evening. I'm Ken Flanagan. Our topic tonight, well, it's one that kind of bites, kind of eats away at you. That's right, termite damage.
Let me just tell you, termites absolutely are here. They're a problem. We all need to be wary of it. Honestly, I just don't think it was that much of an issue. It doesn't feel like it legally, living here my entire life. But I have to have the last 10 years, it is termites everywhere, absolutely everywhere.
The Formosan termite, to be exact.
They are out.
And the folk, if you've had termite damage, it's kind of like a slow motion hurricane. It's like a slow motion natural disaster. You kind of think you may see one, and then all of a sudden you got major substructure problems. Matt, preparing for tonight's show, you made graphics.
I did.
It's like when Matt makes graphics, that means he's in. He is invested. You're dialed in on the show for sure. Right. Mid-season 4, mid-season. Here we go. Matt, you might have a claim with a pest control company if one of these three things. If. Hit them.
Yes. Number one, you've been given substandard termite treatments. And that's a biggie, Kenny. What we're finding, Kenny, is that, quite frankly, the chemicals they use to treat termites maybe not as effective as they used to be, probably less cancer-causing than they used to be, quite frankly. So the treatments have to be spot on. They absolutely have to do it right every time. And quite frankly, very technical. We're finding a lot of folks, unfortunately, aren't doing it right. That's number one. Number two, you've got to have a termite contract. You have to be under a termite contract to get any termite treatment at all.
I see.
Somebody just can't come out and spray. Somebody just can't come by with a canister and whatever spray. It's state law. You have to have a contract. And then also fail to properly respond to infestation. Listen, speaking of, we're just between Mother's Day and Father's Day. That's kind of termite swarming season. If you're out of the ball field, if you turn your patio lights off, we've all seen it. That's when they swarm. But let me tell you, if you think that you've got termite damage, you have got to call your termite company. Absolutely. You've got to call them. You got to get them out there. Absolutely. But the number one thing, and I didn't put it on the graphic, but here's the number one thing that you absolutely...
Are you ready to go to this yet?
I am.
I mean, you're rolling. I mean, you rolled through those 3 points so quickly.
Right.
All right, go ahead. But this is number one.
This is the number, because I wanted to get to number one. Let me get to it, but I'm getting to it right now.
All right, I'm ready.
The number one thing you need to do if you have a potential termite claim is take photographs, videos of the live termites, because the existence of live termites in your termite claim is a huge, huge deal. Number one, you cannot date termite damage. So if your termite company sees damage, you may get the argument saying, well, that was before we got here, ma'am. That was 8 years ago. You can't tell me that was on our watch.
Right.
And then number two, if you have proof of live termites, it triggers a lot of responsibilities for your termite company on things that they have to affirmatively do, whether you have a service contract or a repair guarantee contract. So if you can prove it and they have it, then they've got to come in, they've got to spray, they've got to treat, they've got to do some things.
And so, Matt, it's just that simple. If you suspect that you have termite damage, get a photo, get some video if you can.
Live termites.
And it can be just as easy. I mean, I think most of us know their breach points are usually your windows, or they'll find some little crevice outside to make it in, and then they begin their damage. Any type of photo works?
Video. Getting at your phone because you want to see them moving, right? You want to see live termites. You want to see them, little buggers moving. So the video is best, but that's critical.
If you see a swarm, which, like you said, they just wrapped up. Heck, here at WLOX, we had to turn out the back lights and the parking light because they were just going so crazy. So just because you see a swarm doesn't mean you have damage. You need to start looking around your house or inside your house.
It's true, Kenny, but I have to tell you, it is difficult to differentiate between a swarm that has occurred because it's swarm season and perhaps termites that are, having a wood party, as they say, in your own house. So when in doubt, call your termite company. And we haven't really talked about it, but let me just kind of touch upon this. There are two different types of termite contracts that you can get right now. And let me also say, everyone should have a termite contract. I mean, really. But there is what's called a service contract, and that is they come out and they treat, they spray, they come out once a year approximately, but if they have you have termite damage, they don't pay for it.
I see.
That's on you.
So it's,
and it's kind
of like a pre-existing medical condition, sort of.
Ouch.
Sort of.
Something like that. So it's just a service contract. It's cheaper than the alternative. The alternative contract is a repair guarantee.
Okay.
And quite frankly, that's the contract
That's the
you
one we
want.
That's the big
you can
boy.
afford it.
Okay.
And that contract says, hello, friend, if you have termite damage at your house, the termite company will pay for the damages.
Right.
So that's the kind of contract you want. Of course, they're more expensive. If you can afford it, that's what you need to get. For sure.
And Matt, those are yearly contracts, monthly payments, something
yes,
to that effect?
Absolutely. And also, when you sell your house,
okay.
you've got to be very careful and assure that the termite contract transfers with the sale. It's not actually, there's language in those contracts, it's not actually automatic, so it's really become an issue and a deal that when you sell a house, you've got to communicate with your termite company, make sure they're aware of that, because that's another thing they can do if there's a claim. They can kind of come back after a sale and say, well, we didn't transfer the contract. You didn't let us know. You're supposed to tell us. You didn't tell us.
Wow.
We're out. So anyway, it's a couple hot tips you need to take care of involving your termites.
All right, folks, you can see he is fired up tonight on this one.
Let's
go to Gulfport, or stay in Gulfport here, and go to Bill. Bill, good evening. Thank you for your patience. What can we help you with?
Hey, Bill.
Hey, well, we have a termite contract that we put in effect as soon as we had our house built in 2016, and they've been coming every year and spraying. Mm-hmm. And they're due to spray now, as a matter of fact. But 2 weeks ago, we had termites coming through the wall and coming through the ceiling.
Yep.
So we called them, and the termite company came, and they killed the termites. But they said that there was moisture somehow getting into the attic, and that's where the termites got in. And so we're going to have to hire somebody to tear out the walls and see how much damage there is and get it repaired. And I thought, man, that sounds expensive. So I pulled the contract out and read it for the first time, shamefully, but it says they're not liable for any damage. I guess they're just going to kill the bugs and keep on going. But I don't know. It seems odd to me. How can you have we're presented here as your opportunity to do this termite treatment and contract, and as long as you keep it in effect, don't let it lapse. Make sure you keep it going every year.
Right.
You'll be covered. So now every year, we've done it every year, and now we got termites, and it looks like it's going to be expensive.
Bill, let's turn this one over to Matt and get some thoughts for you.
Bill, absolutely.
Okay.
It's exactly what I was talking about earlier. Sounds like you have a service contract, not a repair guarantee truck, but that's okay. Let me tell you, they still are required to handle your service competently, okay? Just because they came out and sprayed once a year doesn't mean that they have done everything correct. So what I'd really suggest is let's do a deep dive on what they've done, how they've done it, and if they've done everything correct and you just have termites, well, so be it. But quite frankly, in a lot of these cases, and I mean an overwhelming amount of these cases, quite frankly, we're finding that the termite application wasn't right. It wasn't up to standard. It wasn't up to the state requirements. And quite frankly, there are gaps in treatment, there are holes in the treatment, and guess what happens? You get termites. So in those kind of cases, if we can show that and we can find that, then guess what? They're responsible for their conduct, the consequences of their conduct. So they're responsible for your termite damage. So do not fret, do not despair.
Bill was fretting. I could hear it in his voice.
I've had termites. I
it.
understand, Bill.
Yeah.
I promise you. You think you did everything right. You've got the termite contract. Right. You still have the little buggers, and then lo and behold, termite company says, "Hey, man, that's on you. Good luck with that."
Yeah,
I'm sure it's got to. And then a little bit of a blame game, right? Oh, you got water coming in. Gosh, well, you should take care of your house better a little bit.
Right.
Oh well, let us know.
They're a little judgy on Bill.
A little bit.
Little judgy on Bill there.
So anyway, Bill, let's talk Monday. Let's look at that. I've got experts that'll come out and we'll go through the details and we'll see what's there. But do not worry. But that's exactly what they do. They do it time.
You've heard this before.
Well, they did it to me. They tried to do it to me. I had a claim, quite frankly, in my house. And honestly, they showed up in my house. They were talking to my wife. I was at work. And they told her things, quite frankly, Kenny, that were flat out not true.
Wow.
Not the law. They were trying, and I was like, ooh, then I got involved. Then I got involved, as you can imagine. My wife said, what do get home. You got to take care of this.
Yes.
So anyway, they did, listen, So we're going to look at this. We're going to take care of this, but just don't.
Steady,
don't
big
fret.
fella.
I'm ready.
Steady, big
I'd go
fella.
right now if it wasn't dark.
Bill,
if it wasn't scraping the coast,
Bill,
I'd go right now.
Bill, I think he would meet you at the office right now. But I do
Yeah.
want to touch on one thing. There's a lot of times, Matt will tell you on this show, that this is something you can do on your own. We talk all the time about Justice Court, Chancery Court, and things that you can do on your own. Matt, this one sounds like probably not something you can do on your own.
Lord, no, Kenny. I mean, I have to tell you, we've got to go in. We've got to get the paperwork. We have to see what product they use. We have to pull the product label because that'll tell how often they have to check it, the distances, whether they used enough product. That's a big deal.
Right.
They have to measure the circumference of your house, the dimensions, and that determines how much product they use. Bill, this is not something you can do with yourself. Quite frankly, it's taken me years, and I'm not, I've got to bring in experts to help me with it. So, yeah, for sure.
Let's get to our first email question of the week. This one came in a couple of weeks ago, Matt, for you. It came in from Carrie, and we've just been holding it for you. Is there a time limit for a case like this? We had the same situation as you're describing, but we didn't know we could sue the pest control company, so we just paid for the repairs ourselves. Is it too late? Great question from Carrie.
Indeed, Kenny, and of course, as Law Cult Nation knows, there are time limits for all cases, so for sure. But let me just kind of say this: for termite cases, we try to resolve them because let me tell you, as I kind of mentioned in the last block about how personal it is, when you, quite frankly, you want to slow something down, get a bunch of lawyers involved. What we do, we come into a termite case, we evaluate it, we get, a handle on what the damages are, we try to resolve it. And luckily, and fortunately, we're able to resolve, I would say, most of our cases that way.
Right.
Only the stubborn ones and maybe some of the big ones that we have to file suit because that slows the train down. Lawyers, Kenny, for sure. You've had over 300 on the show. You get it.
275, something like
maybe,
that.
Something like that. So, short answer, though, however, there is a time frame for sure. It's generally a 3-year statute of limitations for negligence. Okay. However, there's a shorter statute of limitations for fraud, and it's a when you should have known. So always, as I kind of tell you, you got to move quickly on termites. If you see live termites, take a video and absolutely move on that claim very quickly. Don't sit on it because absolutely time flies, as they say, and you don't want to have a good claim, spend a lot of money repairing your house. The termite company did something wrong, would have paid for the damage, but you've waited too long to make that claim.
But to Carrie's point, so they did the repair work, but that doesn't knock them out of anything.
No, it does not. No, it does not at all, for sure. So 3 years is a pretty long time. So hopefully that's been within 3 years that they found those live termites. Now, does it complicate things? It does a little bit. You generally want to get involved in the litigation standpoint earlier in the process,
right?
Because when we're there, Kenny, we're there, day to day, watching them tear out the walls, because that's a huge issue. How far do you go, right? You see damage on this wall. Well, you don't want to tear the whole house down if you can avoid it. But then we're how far they've gone, so we're kind of making that call, balls and strikes at the house, day by day. So a lot to do, but please have her call somebody. Have her call the right firm. There are plenty of firms that do termite work, good firms, not just our firm, but talk to the right firm, and hopefully, hopefully she's not too late.
Matt, I want to go over this. We only got a minute left. You had the top 3 things you wanted to pass along. Did your pest control company give you substandard treatment? Describe that real quick. What would be substandard?
Yeah, they've got to do it right, Kenny. For example, look at your driveway. Here's a prime example. There has to be a complete barrier of treatment around your house. Now, if you have a driveway, do you have did they drill? They're supposed to, most of the time, there's a way around, they're supposed to drill actually in the driveway. Do you have drill marks in your,
into the asphalt?
Yes. Do you have drill marks in your driveway?
I don't
Doesn't sound like a complete barrier to me, Kenny.
Oh,
so
no.
That's an example of what could be substandard treatment.
I don't.
Well, there you have it.
I don't have any of those. Well, I have them around the house, but not on the driveway.
Hello? Well, guess what?
Oh, no. And then you want to try to get that contract that has repair in it,
repair
more than
guarantee.
just service.
There's a service contract, but if you can, try to get the repair guarantee. There's some companies on the coast that will still write that contract. Try to get it if you can. You'll be glad you did. It'll give you peace of mind.
Willie, Raymond, sorry we couldn't get to your calls tonight. Give us a call back next week. Thanks everybody for joining us. Until next Saturday, good night.